It's clever, it really relaxes me. I can fall asleep to it.
And breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth.
Imagine yourself on a beach.
Hello and welcome to the official Haters Euro 2024 Daily Show. I'm your host, Aaron Golston, and today I'm joined in the studio with Raf Tyndale and Freddie Walker. Reminder, we're live every single day at 1 o'clock, bringing you exclusive training clips, interviews and reports from our team on the ground in Germany. We do have a lot to discuss today. I do want to run straight to England, but we should touch upon all of the action from yesterday first. Now, Germany, winners in England at Euro 96. Hopefully we can get revenge this time round in Germany. But let's start with them. They were great yesterday. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a very, very solid performance from them. A good 2-0 win and a lot of star performers again. Jamal Musiala was incredible once again. But I did see a little bit of weakness this time round that we didn't see against Scotland. I think that we saw a bit of defensive vulnerability and Hungary had chances that they could have put away. So, yeah, not all good for Germany, but yeah, a very solid win.
Raf, what do you think? Hungary also just haven't lit up the tournament in the way we thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do agree with Freddie to some extent, but I also think there's a case of, Germany have already shown with their sort of 5-star performance against Scotland that they can sort of dispense with teams very quickly. But this time it was slightly harder to break down Hungary, but they sat back, they waited for their chances and they took them. And that's what, championship winning teams have to do. Interestingly, they've only won their opening 2 games of a tournament 4 times, and 3 out of those 4 times they've gone on and won it. So
you're saying 75% chance that Germany go win Euro 2024?
The stats don't lie.
One player that really has gone under the radar was the SofaScore player of the match yesterday, Joshua Kimmich. Reminder that Haters have partnered with SofaScore, and if you like football, you should probably download the app. It gives us loads of really good stats. Look at Kimmich yesterday, 90 minutes played, 2 blocked shots, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles, 97% accurate passes, with 4 of those being key passes. Look at that Raf, where he gets everything right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold could learn a sort of trick or two from him. Obviously, Kimmich started off his career as a right back, then sort of, emerged as, a world-class talent in that midfield for Bayern under Hansi Flick. But obviously moved back to right back now. And, as shown in his heat map, he does everything. I thought he was really impressive in that opening game against Scotland. And yeah, he's not putting a foot wrong. There are a lot of strong performers in this Germany team.
Explain to me, how's it looking? If Germany top the group, which it looks like they probably will, who are they likely to face?
So if they top the group, which, as you say, it's looking extremely likely, they're going to play actually the runners-up of Group C, which is obviously England's group. Group C is very wide open at the moment. We'll know much more about how that's standing after today's fixtures. But let's say England go through, I imagine, probably a matchup against Denmark, something like that.
Interesting. Fine. Well, please do get your comments in about Germany, about England, whatever you want to ask us. We are ready for you. Are they your favourites at the moment now? Just one last thing on Germany.
I don't think so, not yet, no. But they're definitely making their way there. So we'll see kind of how the draw ends up and what their route to the final would be. But yeah, they're definitely up there, but not quite yet. I'm still back in England currently.
Yesterday, we saw Croatia versus Albania in the early match. Oh, it was so good. What a game. Excitement, drama. It's the kind of game that only international tournaments bring you. And I loved it. But this Croatian golden era, I think it's over. They're dead and buried, no?
I don't think they're dead and buried in this tournament just yet. Obviously, they've got to play Italy next, which is going to be a tough task. But if they can pull off a win there, then they'll most likely be going through to the next round. So, yeah, they've still got some hope in this tournament for sure.
I feel a little bit bad rushing through Croatia, Albania. It was a really good game, but there's so much to talk about. And of course, one of the other home nations that played yesterday was Scotland. We saw them really improve from their opening day performance. Jerry Cox was out in Cologne.
And yes, it's Jerry Cox here in Cologne. I've just been watching Switzerland against Scotland. It ended 1-1.
I think there was
opening goal.
Another person. It was either me or someone's laptop wasn't.
But that was equalised by Xherdan Shaqiri,
shut
counting
off
on a mistake and actually curling one into the top.
I don't know. I think I went on to the people thing and switched the switch off. No, if that makes any sense.
Stuttgart at the weekend.
And then it was okay.
They could come second in the group. The Swiss now
reminder, we're going
Germany,
straight from this, me talking Callum McGregor.
Again, they could end up top
GT,
if they win that
you good with that?
So
going to Callum McGregor straight after this.
Scotland,
like I'm talking
The only
5
downside,
seconds and then,
Kieran Tierney, the Arsenal fullback who's been on loan at Real Sociedad last season, had another injury. He's had a terrible run of it, and looks like he's done a hamstring. He was off on a stretcher. He walked through this mix zone afterwards. He looks unaided. He wasn't on crutches, but
oh no,
I think it'd be really tough for him.
Zed Ahmed said, "Why can I hear two people
weekend.
talking over each
Let's
other in
see.
the comments?"
Let's hope Scotland stay in it and make history.
Well, Scotland definitely did really much improve on their opening day performance. They couldn't have got much worse. We heard from Callum McGregor after the game.
If you asked anybody in the country, they would say if you arrive into the last game and you win it, then you're through. I think everybody loses sight of after what happened in Friday night, then it's doom and gloom. And listen, that's football. We understand that. We've been around long enough that when you have a bad performance, everybody wants to talk and everything else. So we have to put that behind us. We weren't good enough on Friday. We've responded tonight, and now everybody has the scenario that we probably thought we were going to be, as if you win the last game you go through. Tonight we show that we arrive at the tournament, good performance, good energy, and I think we can be even better. So hopefully that will give us the belief at this level we can go and take the game to teams, be aggressive. But yeah, you're right, we have to find another level on top of that for Sunday, because Hungary are a good team.
Callum McGregor proud of their performance, rightfully so. Scotland have a chance.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it was a good performance from Scotland, much better than that Germany one. The press was much more intact. I was happy to see Billy Gilmour start. I thought that improved the midfield a lot. And obviously, as I mentioned, the Scottish Messi yesterday getting the goal with his left foot. It was a bit of a lucky goal, but all the Scottish fans will take it. You could hear the cheers around London and Scotland very loudly. So yeah, it was good stuff. And I think against Hungary, they have a great chance of beating them and getting through to the next round.
Well, you think Scotland have a chance. Another person that seems to think so is Sherdan Shaqiri. He was in the mix zone.
Yeah, with their fans, you can see it's amazing to see how they get pushed, and I think they have a good team, and I think their collective also is very important. If they're as a collective they go to their limits, I think they can win games, and I think it's going to be interesting to see the next game against Hungary. I think if they play like this, with these fans behind, I think they can win games. So I'm looking really forward to this game to watch.
Death, taxes, and Sherdan Shaqiri scoring bangers at the Euros. Raf, is he ever going to go away?
I mean, it's not looking like it. I mean, 32 goals for Switzerland, and he's actually the only European player to score in the past 6 tournaments. Now, before any Ronaldo fans jump on me, he will join him in that club should he score at this tournament. But I mean, yeah, amazing goal. And, we actually picked him out in one of the first shows to be Switzerland's danger man. And he's shown up again. I mean, yeah, I think he's here to stay. And he's not too old, I think he's only around 32. So I imagine we might see him at the next World Cup.
Yeah, it's weird because he's playing his football in the MLS. What's your favourite Shaqiri banger? You've got to go straight back to Euro 2016, that bicycle kick against Poland, no?
Yeah. That's a screamer.
He's a joke, and he's so small. I love him. We did also hear from another Swiss, former Arsenal captain Granit Xhaka at full time.
To do much more than in the first game against Germany.
Yeah.
They was trying to press us much more. We knew that we have more space in the back with our 3 strikers.
Yeah, nice.
But in the end, I think the 1 point we can share, both teams are happy. It's exactly the team that we was expected as well. And how I said, we was little surprised how they play against Germany, how deep they was, how passive they was, not even trying to press them. If you see the Scottish team in the qualification, totally different. And I think that they will go for all in the last game. They have to.
Any comments coming through, Freddie?
Yeah, so we've had Blue Asbestos saying that Italy and Denmark to win £100 returns £1,000. Do it. So got a tip in the comments there. We've also had Damien Kelly saying massive blow for us Arsenal fans that KT is injured again. We need to make money off his sell, which is a very good point. Very sad to see Kieran Tierney going down with another injury for Scotland. He's been really unlucky with injury luck. So yeah, those are the comments so far.
I know Jerry was talking about that in the Irish Examiner, and you said, well, the reason that there's going to be problems is Arsenal want about £10 million for Kieran Tierney. And on his day, he's fantastic. You see, some Scotland fans actually think he's like as good as, if not better than Andy Robertson. Controversial, but still, you do get those people. But asking for £10 million for a defender that's always injured is such an ask.
Yeah.
I think he'll go back to Celtic at some point. Let's rush through today's games so that we can get to the important stuff. England. Today's opening fixture sees England's Group C counterparts face off in Munich. That is Slovenia versus Serbia, and Rodrigo Lara is out there. That looks like a lot of fun. I'm so jealous of Rodrigo. He always looks like he's having a great time, but not so much informative insight into this game. Boys, predictions for that?
Oh, it's going to be a tough game to call, and I mean it's obviously huge for who's going to go through. I think it will be a 1-1 draw.
1-1. You're sitting
on the fence.
Sitting on the fence with a classic. Don't know too much about this game.
Well, for me, I mean, they actually previously met at Euro 2000. It was a 3-3 draw. Slovenia were up 3-0, and it's the only time a team has failed to win a Euros game after being 3 goals up. And, you know, a lot of the games that we've thought might be slightly tedious this games have actually ended up being the games of the tournament. So, I'm going to go for 3-3 again. Why not? 3-3. Well,
I mean, we've also got 2 former Arsenal targets, and both the strikers for their respective nations, in Vlahovic and Sesko. Who's the better out of the two?
Ooh, I think Sesko has more potential, but I think you've got to say Vlahovic currently.
Yeah, I'd agree with Freddie there.
Fair enough. In the evening, we have perhaps the game of the tournament. Spain face Italy for the 5th European Championships in a row. Euro 2024 is the tournament of star boys, and Spain's Lamine Yamal will go up against Italy's Riccardo Calafiori, the most 2003 looking defender of all time. That man has watched Maldini and Nesta comps and thought, I'm bringing Italian culture back. Are these the two to watch? SofaScore seems to think so.
Yeah, for sure. Let's also not forget Dani Carvajal, obviously scoring in the Champions League final and then the first game of the Euros. Can he make it 3 games on the bounce, getting goals? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, definitely these two are definitely 2 to watch. I think you can't count out Alvaro Morata. He did train with Spain on Tuesday, so he's definitely available for the game. He scored 10 goals in 15 major tournament appearances for La Roja. Only David Villa scored more. So I think, obviously scored their opener of this tournament. I think you can't count him out.
There's just so much pressure though on Lamine Yamal. He's a child. He's an actual child. And he's going up against a really stern Italian defence that, England struggled with the Euro 2020 final. Do you think there's going to be goals in this one, or is it going to be a cagey affair?
I think there'll be goals, and also like you mentioned, Yamal we saw a clip of him literally doing homework at the Euros, so that is how much of a child he really is, which is insane. But yeah, he's performed so far, and we'll see if he can keep it up. But I back him to do well in this game, and there'll be goals from both sides.
Raf, score prediction.
Score prediction, I'm going to say, I think the Italian defense is very resolute. They've got a really good centre-back partnership in Calafiori and Bastoni there. But obviously Spain scored 3 in their opening game. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Spain.
2-1. It's an easy prediction to go for. I honestly, I've no idea for this one. If I got a £5 free bet and I had to stick on it, I'm going for a 2-2 draw, actually.
Okay.
Because Spain, it was the first time in that game, the previous match they just played, was the first time since the Euro 2008 final, in a competitive match, they had less possession than their opponents. So this is a different Spain team from what we're used to seeing. And I think Italy can exploit that. But the thing is, Italy need to be on it from minute 1. We saw them concede the quickest goal in European Championships history. If anyone's going to score a really early goal for Spain, you think it's going to be Morata? Raf, what about you?
I think it would be Yamal, who's getting on the score sheet. Maybe even Dani Carvajal, but I'm going to go. I'm going to stick with Dani Carvajal, and then I'll go for a 3-1 to Spain.
3-1 to Spain. Okay, fine. We've got a good few predictions there. Spain, obviously the favourites. Please do get your comments in below what you think is going to happen in that match. I can't wait for it. But we have England first. So we've rushed through that one because we get to talk about everybody's favourite subject now. Haters were at Gareth Southgate's press conference last night where he gave us a little bit of early team news.
Luke won't be involved tomorrow. No, he's actually on track for where we thought he would be originally. We were hoping a couple of days ago we might accelerate that a little bit, but he needs a bit more volume work. So he didn't train with the rest of the group today because he needs to do, there are days where he needs to do more than the rest of the group, and there are days when he needs to recover when the others are pushing. So he's still in and out with the others, but operating on his own program as well.
So, no Shaw at left back. We know that for sure. It looks like it's going to be Kieran Trippier again. This just begs the question over and over again. Why did Southgate not bring Tyrick Mitchell or a proper left back? You happy to see Trippier again today? Would you play anyone else there?
Yeah, I would keep Trippier. I think he was solid in the last game. Obviously, the defence got a clean sheet, so I see no real reason to change it. Obviously, if Luke Shaw was fit, then I'd probably go for that. But yeah, keep KT in there.
Yeah, definitely for me, I agree. I think he hasn't really put a foot wrong for England, whether he's played left back or right back. Obviously, provided the assist for Shaw in the Euros final a few years ago. Yeah, I think he's a good player. He's experienced, and oftentimes you need experience at this level. Lots
of Liverpool fans saying that Joe Gomez could fit in there. I just don't get it. I find we're playing players out of position. It's confusing. But in the last game, we saw Trippier have a little bit of cramp, and England now seemingly have cracked sports medicine. They know how to deal with cramp.
Well, I think it's been around for quite a while. I think that obviously it's just been highlighted when Trips has had the picture and everything of that. I mean, I don't take it personally. I keep myself well hydrated, like his own boss. And so I've been very fortunate, not to receive the cramps or anything. But it's part and parcel of football now. Football is developing, and that's something that the sports science have come up with that they feel that can benefit us when it's the late stages of the game.
Pickle juice. Pickle juice. You could not pay me to drink that. Absolutely no chance. You boys?
I'd give it a try. Why not? Once.
Yeah, I mean, if I've been hit by a bit of cramp, why not? May as well.
They used to just use like electrolytes and you have your Lucozade, whatever. Horrible. We did also see the England boys in training. Obviously, there was focus on Phil Foden. Apologies if you can hear any noise going on in the background. I do have a bit of a sore stomach today. No, I'm just joking. There's just building works and classic miserable England. That's how it is. Let's be miserable for a second. Let's carry that on. Phil Foden. Everyone wants to be positive, talk about Jude Bellingham, star boy. Phil Foden, nothing's going right for him, is it?
Well, I mean, he's had an amazing season. That first game obviously wasn't good for him. He didn't have really any impact. And now a lot of people kind of calling for him to be out the team. I'd probably be along those lines as well. I'd maybe give Anthony Gordon a go at left wing because I actually don't think Phil Foden is that effective in that position. If you're going to play Phil Foden, then play him through the middle in the 10 role. And if not, then yeah, maybe give someone else a shot.
Why doesn't he perform for England? He had such a good season for Man City. We'll actually come back to that because I want to look at SofaScore's stats for him. But what is it? Is it the system? Yeah, Raf, what do you think?
I just think, I mean, Freddie touched on it. I think it's just being played out of position, it's not what you want. He's played off the right quite a lot for City, and he's obviously played through the middle this season. He's not used to left, and of course there's an element of you want to fit all your best players into the starting 11, but oftentimes, as we saw the other day, that isn't necessarily the right way forward. So I think there's definitely a little bit of a tweak, not necessarily to the system, but to the starting 11 that Southgate needs to make.
Let's get his stats up from SofaScore. So they're now on the screen right now. 53 matches for Manchester City last season, 27 goals, 12 assists, averaging 3 shots a game, 2 key passes. He's a good dribbler, as we know, and an average rating of 7.79. But if you look at his heat map, the one thing you'll notice is he's absolutely everywhere. And what I'd say to that is that he can play anywhere because we've seen him all over the pitch. What is going wrong?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to put your finger on.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think all of us would love to know that, because you look at Phil Foden for Man City this season. You're excited to see him come into this England team, and tonight he may have an incredible impact and start, and everyone shuts up again, I guess. But yeah, I think it's interesting on that heat map, looking more towards the right hand side. He's not actually playing too much on the left, so yeah, it's that kind of maybe plays into why for England he's not as effective.
We did a poll the other day asking if people thought we should play Foden or Gordon or drop him, whatever. Most people are saying we should stick with Foden. You look at those stats, you can't drop him. Have we got any comments coming in?
We do, and we've actually had a poll going, and so we've got England versus Denmark. What are the people thinking? It is currently 79% England win, 15% Denmark win, and 6% for the draw. And we've also had Sam H, open brackets, onion head, is 2-1 prediction for England versus Denmark, and Serbia versus Slovenia 1-1. We've had JJ say, well done, Scotland. So giving the Scottish the credit for the draw and the good point that they picked up yesterday.
No, they really were decent. And Onion Head, I'd love you to tell me who you think's going to score. I've got a sneaky feeling that Bukayo Saka is going to be the man to watch today, because England are playing in Frankfurt. Now, if you're an Arsenal fan and you're a bit of a nerd, you will know that this is the stadium where Bukayo Saka scored his first ever professional goal. I'm also not someone that likes to just talk loads of nonsense. I practice what I preach. I've downloaded SofaScore using the link in the QR code, and I've gone back to that very day. Bukayo Saka's stats from Frankfurt, that Arsenal match, it was in the Europa League, played the whole 90 minutes. He got a goal, 2 assists, and he's returning to the game where he really burst onto the scene. Love that expression, by the way.
Wow.
Michael Richards has changed football forever. Bukayo Saka, he actually burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game?
I do remember that game. I remember that goal very well because it's an absolute screamer. And obviously I've watched it many a time since. But he doesn't actually score that many of those from outside the box. So yeah, I do remember that game, and it was a great goal and a great moment.
So we obviously heard from Kobbie Mainoo the other day speaking about Erik ten Hag, and that made me think about all of these England players and who gave them their chances. What's really weird is that Arsenal fans synonymously don't have fond memories of Unai Emery.
Yeah.
But Unai Emery is the man that birthed Bukayo Saka.
Well, we thank him for that.
Is that the best thing Unai Emery did at Arsenal?
Yeah, I think so. He brought through quite a few youth players, and Arsenal needed that after the kind of Wenger era. So yeah, whilst I don't think it was the right time for Emery at Arsenal, we can still appreciate some of the things that he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you are a football fan, you should be downloading SofaScore, and you can call me out on all these little stats. I think Saka is undroppable for Arsenal, for club and country. But Southgate was asked about managing minutes because there are games coming thick and fast.
Decisions we have to make, not just for tomorrow, but whenever we play. What's the right physical level for the group? What's the right decisions for individual players? So without a doubt, players will benefit from having had the game. There's been just about long enough recovery for that to help, and we've got to balance whether to stick with what we did or whether to change and refresh the team.
You're going to hear me have a whinge at the builders next door. But speaking of whinging, I don't know if you can hear it as loud as I can. It's driving me absolutely mad. One thing that I've always touched on is Ilkay Gundogan's the player that comes to my head most. Players complain about playing so much football. They say, we play at the week, and then we've got midweek Champions League and midweek FA Cup, League Cup, whatever. Players don't seem to care when it comes to England. So Southgate's talking about managing minutes. I don't expect much rotation today. Do you?
No, not today. Definitely not today. Maybe in the last game if they win this game and get the job essentially done, right? But yeah, I think they're playing for their country. They're trying to make history. They'll become heroes if they win something for England. So it's good to not hear them whinging about that. And it is only hopefully for a month. And then you're done. Whereas in the Premier League, that's obviously a long season where you have to play almost every 3 days if you're at one of the top 6 clubs. So yeah, I think they work hard for a month, and hopefully become essentially immortal in England by winning it.
Raf, why do you think the players don't complain when it comes to the international tournaments?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of these players, obviously, they're at the top of their game. That's why they've been picked for the international squads, and I think that therefore means they're often a shoe-in for the starting 11 for their club. You know, they get used to playing week in, week out. Sort of, I mean, obviously, I'm not a footballer, but it seems like they sort of forget the honour that it is to be a professional footballer and play for, you know, a top club. And then, but obviously, when you're at England, you know, it's a 26-man squad. There's, you know, however many hundreds of thousands of people who play football in this country alone. And to make that squad is an absolute honour. And obviously, there's a lot of competition. You know, we've been talking about sort of the Phil Foden conundrum, I suppose you could call it. I think, obviously, as you say, Saka's undroppable, so he's not going to be able to play on the right. Obviously, Bellingham's had an amazing season playing the number 10 for Real Madrid. But I think it's an absolute honour to play for your country. I mean, they always say that, you know, a lot of players, oftentimes, if they're in a sort of, say, toxic club situation, they often see the international breaks as a sort of, you know, break from that. And so I think because, you know, international tournaments sort of few and far between, you know, once every 2 years, they really appreciate the opportunity given to them.
Well, Freddie and I spoke about this yesterday, but I'm going to give you the chance to give your answer here. Because Kobbie Mainoo was saying how good Declan Rice is. Mm-hmm. And as Arsenal fans, as England fans, we know how good Declan Rice is. Does a player of that quality allow England the opportunity to play with two number 10s?
Well, for me, I think, as you say, Declan Rice, he's very comfortable sort of being that sort of man just before the back four. And I think he's very capable of doing that. So I think, for me, if I were to choose sort of an ideal midfield three, I would have Rice, Bellingham playing in that sort of 8-role box-to-box, and Phil Foden in the number 10. I think Bellingham has played the majority of his career in that number 8 position. And I think Ancelotti has already said next season, that he's going to be playing in a slightly deeper role. So I think, you know, he's just as effective, maybe not just as effective in terms of output, in terms of goals and assists in that position, but, you know, he's very used to playing there. And I think we need to be able to get the best out of Phil Foden to win this tournament just as much as we need to get the best out of Jude Bellingham. I think Bellingham is more effective playing out of position in the 8 than Foden is playing out of position on the wing. I think definitely bringing Anthony Gordon, I think it was something 10 goals, 11 assists for Newcastle this season. He was absolutely electric, you know, dragged them over the line in a lot of games. So I think, you know, we can fit all these players in. And I think, you know, Gordon was often, you know, sort of the only player that was looking to create something in that final friendly versus Iceland. So I think he definitely deserves a chance.
Well, the thing is, for me, if England win against Denmark, which hopefully they will, that gives them an opportunity to play a whole new team in the final group game, give players the chance to perform on the international stage. I'd love to see Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I'd like to see Cole Palmer as well. There's a few there as well. I'd like to see Adam Wharton get a start, Kobbie Mainoo get a start. But obviously the first job is beating Denmark fairly comfortably, and then we can kind of worry about all of that in the next game.
There was a really weird moment in the press conference yesterday where Gareth Southgate was asked to give a little bit of advice to the Moroccan national team as well.
From Morocco, as we know, we are fourth or the last World Cup in Qatar. We have a great potential young players like in England. Do you have any advice for our national coach?
You got to the semi-final, didn't you? We didn't, so how can I give advice to your coach?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, Morocco did pretty well at the last World Cup. But see, there's a funny side to it, but then there's also the side that international journalists are coming to the England press conference, and they're not just there because England have the global superstars. They are asking questions to Gareth Southgate directly. The world thinks Gareth Southgate has done a good job. He's taken England from being nobodies that don't even qualify for tournaments, Euro 2008, that get knocked out by Iceland at Euro 2016. He's come in, transformed us, and we've done so well at the last tournaments. No, we haven't won anything. But the English press, the English fans, a bit too harsh on him. If you look at how the rest of the world respect him, you disagree with me, no?
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily too harsh. I think any kind of manager of England is going to get intense scrutiny. It's the way the English media is. It's also the same in countries like Germany. The German national team manager gets a whole load of scrutiny as well. It's just the way that these things go when you're in a job that has such a big effect on a whole nation. And look, I think England with this team and the quality that they have, they should be doing what Gareth Southgate is achieving, and maybe even more. They should maybe be winning something. So yeah, I think he gets what somewhat he is due, you know, from the media.
Raf, do you think he's doing a good job?
I think so. I mean, you can never do the right thing as the England manager. Obviously, he's been criticised a lot for sort of picking his favourites and everything. He's gone against that this tournament, picked the informed players, and he's been criticised for not taking experienced players like Rashford and Grealish.
You can't win as England manager.
You cannot win. And I think, actually, I can understand what people say about, we play sort of stale football. Obviously, he favours that double pivot. But England are actually averaging 1.9 goals per game under Southgate, which is the best of any Three Lions boss ever, which is quite an interesting stat. And I think I do completely agree with Freddie. I mean, we have, I think, on paper, the best squad at this competition. Maybe France could be rivals, but I think we do need to be winning something. But it's quite hard to count out. We lost on penalties in the final. I think maybe, people have maybe said that he could have chosen his penalty takers differently, but you make your decision and you stick with it, and whatever happens, happens. Obviously, we lost to Croatia in the 2018 World Cup. That was a close game. I mean, I think he has done very well, and he's done better than most England managers of sort of recent memory. I think if he can bring us one step further, then obviously he's going to be an absolute national hero, and all that scrutiny will go away. We just need that one tournament win.
Yeah, because realistically, if you play boring football but you win it, no one's going to care. No one is going to care. This country will go absolutely mental. You obviously threw in a little stat there.
I did.
You love a stat.
I love
If you love a stat, you should be downloading SofaScore. Scan the QR code top left of the screen. Download it because it's got football stats, facts, whatever you need from football around the globe. We've touched on England, and of course we can come back to them in a second. But let's actually look ahead to who we're playing. Who's the danger man for Denmark?
I think it has to be the man that scored the goal in their last game, Christian Eriksen. Let's see if he can produce another magic moment.
SofaScore gave us his stats for this game. From the last match. It was his first game back from cardiac arrest on the international stage at Euro 2024. 90 minutes played, which is difficult if you have had a cardiac arrest, so fair play to him. He scored his goal. He had 5 shots. A lot, only one on target and hit the back of the net. 88% with his accurate passes, 7 of those being key passes. He's a machine. For cardiac arrest aside, he's a fantastic player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a lethal player, and it's a good Danish team. We obviously played them in the semi-finals of the Euros last time out, and it took a penalty in extra time to beat them. So it's going to be a tough game, even though I think England will win it. Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Is Eriksen your player to watch today from the Danes?
He's definitely up there, obviously, but I think also his club team, Rasmus Højlund, needs to be watched. He's he played a massive role in qualifying for the Danes. He scored 7 goals as they topped their group. But he is on a bit of a stale scoring run for the Danish national side now. He scored 1 in 9 international matches. I think goals might be a slight problem for this Danish team. They're not quite as prolific as the team they're coming up against this game, England. I think the manager left out Matt O'Reilly for Celtic, and he actually scored 19 goals and registered 8 assists this season. No, 18 assists. I'm sorry. So that's quite hard to look past. So I think a lot of Danish fans were quite surprised when he was left out. But I mean, as Freddie said, they're a very good side. I think we can't look past them. And obviously Harry Kane missed that penalty. Luckily scored the rebound. I mean, they were quite a difficult team to break down and to beat. And, if we play like we did against Serbia, then I think we might find it tough. They're definitely not a team to write out. And I think, as I said, if they finish runners-up in this group and play Germany, I think Germany might encounter problems too.
Well, so here's my thing. I think England play very stale football, but on the whole, they get results. We looked at that stat that SofaScore posted, saying that in Euros history, the 5 games with the fewest shots ever, England are responsible for 3 of them. England won all 3 of them. So England play, slow, passive football, but they get the results. I do think that they're going to struggle today, in all honesty. Going up against former Leicester goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel. Haven't seen him in a while. It'd be nice to see him back. Hopefully picking the ball out the back of the net a couple of times. What's your score prediction? I'm personally going for 1-1.
I'm going to go for 3-0 England.
So you've seen England play the last match.
Yeah.
Have the fewest shots ever, had the lowest XG of any game, lower XG than the whole 380 Premier League game season, and you're saying, no, England are going to come out flying and score 3 today.
Yeah, I think when the noise is the loudest around all of that, they're going to come out and shut a few people up.
Any scorers?
Bukayo Saka, most definitely, in the stadium that you mentioned, he scored his first goal for Arsenal.
I'm thinking back to sort of the World Cup 2022 when we drew 0-0 against the USA. Was it 0-0 or 1-1? I think it was 0-0.
0-0.
And then we sort of came out firing against Wales the game after and sort of put them to bed quite early. So I think I would like to say a bit of a statement win. We need to we need to score some goals. We need to get Harry Kane firing. I think he might get on the score sheet today. I think Saka definitely. I think he was extremely bright against Serbia. I think probably one of our better players. But I think there might be a bit of an unlikely scorer. I think maybe Cole Palmer off the bench. I think it's going to be 3-1 England. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet.
Fair. Are there any comments coming through? What do people think?
Yep. So we have had a comment from Samuel Asnake. The rest of the world doesn't respect him. Trust me, I'm not even European. It infuriates me to see England wasting all this talent they have. You can do better. We also had a comment from Henry saying, blonde buzzcut guy has insane ball knowledge. Need to see more of him. So shout out to Raf.
Blonde buzzcut guy. Is that your nickname?
Apparently so. That's my vice captain of our football team. So appreciate him tuning in.
You know, Raf's actually easier to say than blonde buzzcut guy.
I would agree.
Yeah.
That's usually why I go with Raf instead of that long-winded nickname.
You can keep it for the future.
I will.
Anyway, that's all we have time for today. We will see you tomorrow for a preview of France versus the Netherlands. I'm so excited for that one. But for now, go get to the pub.